unauthorized businesses, including dispensaries and head shops. Strange trips can play a part in this drama. Whether the topic is access to heroin or Laetrile in the treatment of cancer, medical marijuana in Canada, or LSD for death and depression, there is always room for more information, including a historical perspective. This book will investigate the myths, meanings, and boundaries of certain recreational drugs and pharmaceuticals. It will unpack how we have regarded and regulated drugs in light of long-standing economic and political interests related to medicine, be they companies or professional bodies. Scholars have, to date, focused on a host of substances, from coffee to wine through to nicotine, opium, and even chocolate. In short, we have exposed important biographies of substances. Yet, in 2017, historian Virginia Berridge, while giving a keynote address before the Alcohol and Drugs History Society in Utrecht, called for a move beyond examining substances in silos. This book is, in part, a reply to that call. It puts drugs in conversation with each other. Strange Trips examines control and resistance in palliative care drugs, recreational drugs, and pharmaceutical drugs. What, I wonder, is the path that a drug such as heroin takes in its move from radical and illegal drug to an accepted part of medical practice? Is it the same course that LSD or Laetrile might chart? Conversely, how do accepted pills, manufactured in the U.S. by respectable companies such as Pfizer or Merck, become characterized as dangerous, even radical? In addressing such questions in a broad fashion, we can begin to see links between money and bodies, politics and personal choice. By retracing some of this recent history, Strange Trips can provide a more expansive view, or an interpretation that has ramifications for law and medicine. This might, in turn, permit a bird's-eye view into the role that various companies and institutions play in creating medical knowledge and ideas about our bodies. In other words, everyday health. Facts about drugs and medicine change, but often this story is left untold. One trip that this book won't deal with, however, is the World Trade Organization's, WTO, Trade-Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights Agreement, otherwise known as the TRIPS or TRIPS Agreement. It established the minimum standards for protection of intellectual property. These include patents for pharmaceuticals. TRIPS has been critiqued because it has been shown to increase drug prices. When policies are made, votes cast, and prescriptions written, it is useful to have a deeper sense of how the facts are fluid. Other writers have suggested we need to enhance the evidence about evidence when it comes to drugs, science, and policy. For Alan Leshner, former head of the National Institute of Drug Abuse and member of the U.S. National Science Board, there is a unique disconnect between the scientific facts and the public's perception about drug abuse and addiction. Or, as the British psychopharmacologist David Nutt has put it, emphasis ought to be placed on evidence, not exaggeration. Making it time to reconsider Drugs Without the Hot Air, the title of his 2012 book. He suggested that ecstasy was no more dangerous than horse riding, and afterward was fired as the British government's chief drug advisor when he stated that alcohol and tobacco were more harmful than many illegal drugs, including LSD, ecstasy, and cannabis. Nutt continued his neurological and psychiatric research at Imperial College London, and argued through the BBC and The Guardian that magic mushrooms, LSD, ecstasy, cannabis, and mephedrone all possessed therapeutic applications. He was, and still is, a central figure in the understanding of so-called recreational or street drugs and legitimate medical therapies. His agenda is clear. "I'm not recommending anyone taking any drugs," he stated. "I'm just suggesting we need to have a more scientific, rational approach to drugs." In Strange Trips, it will become abundantly clear that it is time to move beyond the pharmaceutical industry, sometimes called Big Pharma, and the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, in exploring drugs in the 21st century.